Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about the fact that Bitcoin is coming up very close here to retesting the 200-week simple moving average, which on my chart is going to be the yellow line, currently coming in around $24,900. And the reason this is so significant is because historically, the 200-week average has been a major level of support during the bear markets. If I zoom out here all the way, you can see that all the way back here in 2015, Bitcoin held this as support on three separate retests, the first being in January, the second being in June, and then the last move coming back down to retest it in August as well as September. And if I zoom in here to this previous market cycle, you can see again that held as support every step of the way. Bitcoin never breached below the 200-week moving average for a sustained period of time. We did have a few weekly closes coming up here below the 200-week average, but nothing really significant to the point where it had most definitely looked like it lost that level. In fact, we just had, consolidation right on this level, holding it as support, again, reversing that bear market and then later printing a new market cycle into the next following few years. And the same thing really happened here in the 2018 bear market. You can see Bitcoin had two retests, the first in December of 2018 and then the next one being in February 2019. Both attempts holding it as support once again. And then lastly, this move in March of 2020 formed another bottom off of this longer term moving average. But the difference in this market cycle is that we saw Bitcoin come below the 200-week average. And this is mainly due to the fact that we didn't really see too much of a blow off top to the upside. So when we naturally came back down for that 75-80% bear market correction, it just happened to come back much further down because we had less room of an extension to the upside. In fact, we came back below the 2017 market cycle all-time high, which is another thing that we haven't really seen in Bitcoin's market cycle histories before. So we've really never seen something like this happen before in Bitcoin's entire history. And this is the longest we have ever spent below the 200-week average. Again, each time in the previous bear markets, we had support being held off that and no real closes under it. So this is sort of an unprecedented territory, and I see a lot of people concerned about the fact Bitcoin has lost the 200-week moving average. It gives concerns to the longer-term momentum, to the longer-term bull market cyclical nature of Bitcoin, and this is definitely a valid concern. So this retest is going to be absolutely critical because how Bitcoin interacts with the 200-week moving average will either invalidate or validate those concerns. So the most bearish scenario, and this is not one that I think is going to be the most likely scenario, I do hold the belief that we have a longer term bottom in place and that we will have a new bull market form. But the most bearish scenario, and this is where the risk really does come in, if Bitcoin is unable to break back the 200-week simple moving average. So if I zoom in here, that would look something like this, where potentially we do retest that, we reject off of it, maybe we have a few more weeks retesting, but ultimately if this provides sustainable resistance and Bitcoin is unable to break above the 200-week simple moving average, this would be a very bearish sign because we don't want to see that longer term zone act as resistance. And if Bitcoin were unable to break back above this, at some point or another, we would see that 200-week average start to come back and slope back down, which would really threaten this longer term cyclical bull market where eventually, we have that 4-year market cycle every 4 years, just having a new bull run and continuing that process. That would very much get invalidated if the 200-week average does at one point start to slope back downwards, because it would again indicate that longer term momentum has started to shift. Again, not the most likely scenario in my book. I don't think that we have to worry about this just yet, but I did want to throw that out there as potentially the reason why this is going to be such an important retest. I'm much more convinced that we will see a reclaim of the 200-week simple moving average at some point or another, whether that is on this first retest in the next few weeks, or if we have a move coming back above this in, say, a few months from now. I do eventually think we will reclaim the 200-week average and then print this longer term fake out where we weren't actually able to flip this into resistance. It wasn't a sustainable move, and most of this was just fueled by all of those capitulation-like events. But of course, that hasn't happened yet, and we are still below this level. So until then, it is resistance until proven otherwise, and we just have to be mindful of this as a longer-term zone and longer-term level to watch out for. Again, around $25,000. Also happens to correspond to the high from back here in August. So there is somewhat of a confluence right here at this resistance level. Again, we might have a first rejection, but my longer term stance is that eventually we will start to reclaim this. And on that more positive note, if we do have a reclaim, it is very likely we could see that level flip back into support, where this becomes some sort of floor for Bitcoin on, say, an eventual bull run where we do start to have a move, but much higher. And if we were to have some of those corrections along the way, we could look for this to be where buyers start to step in and build off of for a future bull run. So I hope you guys enjoy the content and the analysis. By the way, make sure to check out my Twitter page. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. As always, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.